Hello, welcome to Technical Founders. My name is Carlos Lara, software engineer and entrepreneur, and in this video, we'll be examining the first step to the epiphany in the customer development process, which is customer discovery, as we talked about in the previous video, and this is phase 0. It's called get buy-in. So this is the foundational step that we are going to lay before we actually move forward talking to customers, learning and building the actual product and then doing the engineering practices. And it's called get buy-in because when you start a company, typically it's not just you, it's not just one person, it's typically a team of people, even if it's just a couple of founders, but there's typically more than one person. And even if it's just you initially, you're going to bring in more people. And these are some of the I've written down here, some examples of key players are going to be part in one way or another of your organization, and everyone needs to be on the same page about what the startup is going to do, etc. So we have the founders, of course, the technical founders ideally, but the people who created the company, investors. You raise capital, you're going to have investors. We need to be on the same page, of course. Employees, when you're hiring people, when you're bringing in new team players, again, another very important. And then a board later, when you raise bigger rounds of capital, you might have a board, advisors, etc. So everyone needs to be on the same page about what we're doing, and these are the things that everyone needs to be on the same page about. And the most fundamentals are these, and of course, what we've been talking about, the actual customer development process and the lean startup methodology. So everyone, because if you don't know any business, let's say you're an engineer and you started watching these videos and you start watching the lean startup series and the customer development series, your intuition is going to become that. But if you don't know that, or if you're coming from a traditional business background, for example, this might seem very counterintuitive, and it actually really is. And actually the founder of Y Combinator, Paul Graham, I love this quote. He said, startups are very counterintuitive. And it's true. And just like a quote by Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn and PayPal, he said, for example, in order to scale, to grow the company, you have to do things that don't scale. Very counterintuitive statement, but very true, and we'll get into that in subsequent videos why that's the case. But these things are very counterintuitive, the methodology that we're using. And we all need to be on the same page, because this is really what it's going to look like in the near future. This is what we're going to be doing. These are all of our plans. Everything revolves around customer development and lean startup methodologies. And here I've written some of the elements, the important elements. So learning and discovery. So instead of assuming you know what the market wants, building the perfect product right off the bat, and engineers, very important to have the employees, the engineers on board with this, because typically they want to build a perfect product, and maybe they come from bigger companies where you have to build something perfect and get it out. No, we need to build something based on what we're learning and discovering. So we have to be open to failure. We might get a very simple product out, it doesn't work out. Okay, failure is another word for learning, really. So we fail on a very short, small scale. We learn something, we discover new things, and we learn, and then we can iterate. We go through these iteration cycles where we're learning, discovery, failing, iterating, refining our approach, and getting closer and closer to discovering our business model. Because again, at this point, our business plan is a series of hypotheses. We don't know anything. We have to assume we don't know anything. It's a bunch of question marks, and we have to go out and learn and discover by talking to real customers and doing the customer development process. So iterations, and of course pivots. At some point, we went through pivots in the video, the 10 pivots in the Lean Startup series. But pivots, you might discover something or learn something from customers that might prompt you to change substantially a component of the business model. Something you had an assumption, you had a hypothesis, and then by learning and discovering and failing, potentially, we need to pivot. We need to change substantially a fundamental assumption that we've made. So these things are very counterintuitive. People don't run companies this way. It doesn't make too much sense. But that's kind of a clue why actually way over 90% of startups fail. But anyway, we'll also get more into that in future videos. But we all need to be on the same page about this. Is the most important thing, and we all need to understand that that's the way it's going to be forever, even Amazon, Google, Facebook, they're still doing this actually in some way within a large organization. That's the key too. As you grow and you scale, you need to keep this still within a large organization, and everyone needs to know on the long term, short, mid, long term, that's what it's going to be. The next thing, mission and vision. So why do we exist as a company? Why do we do what we do? Why is the world a better place? Because we exist. What value are we adding to the world? What is our mission? And the vision is more long-term. Where are we going? So we start this, we want to dominate a small market and then grow and grab a much larger market and have total domination, ideally, depending how large your vision is. But I'm addressing more people who are very ambitious and have at least $100 million, $1 billion market domination visions. But when you start small, you dominate a small industry, then grow from there. A small part of the industry, then grow from there. So everyone needs to be on the same page about what is the vision of the company. Where are we going? Where's the industry headed? What's it going to look like? And all those things. So we need to know the vision of the company, and of course the mission, and these things you would write them down again in phase 0. Before you start doing anything, you need to have this up front, because everything that you do at this point, a lot of it is going to be a function of these variables. So you need to be very clear about your mission or purpose as a company and as an organization, and the vision where we're headed into the future. The next very important thing is culture and core values. Oh my God! I've seen this. I've seen startups not get this right most often, or the reason is because whenever you start out, you think, no, I'm an engineer, I just want to write code, or I'm a businessman, or technical founder, this is not important right now, right? I can just put it off for later and just build a product, talk to customers, I can do those things. But very soon after you start, guess what? You're going to need to hire employees, and more importantly than regular employees, key hires. People that are going to be absolutely essential to the company's success. By the way, if you get the key hire wrong at the very early stage, that could kill the company, and it has killed companies, startups in the past. And in a future video, I might go into do an examples video of key hires that startups got wrong and it killed the company. But how are you going to know who to hire? Who is the perfect fit? Not just experience, because research shows that previous experience for the role is the least correlating factor for success in a role. So I mean, it is important, but it's not the most important. I mean, this is extremely important. What is the culture and your core values? So typically the founders, the people who started the company, they define the culture, they define the core values. So what you believe in as a founder, as a technical founder, is really what everyone else is in a way approximately is going to believe in. So for example, what kind of behaviors are you going to allow at the office? How do people interact with each other? What kind of jokes can you make at the office? Not just that, but how do you interact with customers? How do you interact with clients, with investors? What is the general mindset of people? What drives them? What drives you? How do you align everyone together for your mission and vision under the same culture and everyone sharing the same core values? Because if someone doesn't share your values and you hire that person, they're going to start eroding the company from the inside out. And I've seen this happen many times. I mean, I've worked at a startup and I've worked at large companies, etc. So the key hire is very important. It's very important that whoever you're bringing on into the company really fits your beliefs and the organizational mindset in general. And we'll get into these elements in more detail in future videos, and of course hires culture, there are going to be videos onto itself, maybe even series, because it's a deep subject. But just know that your key hires, employees, everyone, we all need to be on the same page about the process, the customer development process, the lean startup, how we're going to execute moving forward. We need to be clear on the mission and the vision, the purpose and the long-term plan for domination, the culture, the core and the core values. So that's phase 0, customer discovery, the first step to the epiphany in the customer development process. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, any thoughts, any comments, please leave them at the bottom. Also, please subscribe so you're the first to be notified. And thanks again, and I'll see you next time.